Now, welcome to this month's Engine Room Chat. Myself, Dave, from Narrowboat Changing Pace. Chilli Jam Jeff,
Oh, yeah.
down the bottom right, and Glenn from A Life Full of Meaning, top right. We're one short at the moment. Saul from Barley Floating's struggling to log on. So we shall hopefully get him on board with us shortly. But we'll start with Jeff at the bottom. Don't know what you've been up to in this past month, Jeff, if anything.
Not on the boat. We have been out on the boat, but we didn't go far. It was just too windy, so we just turned around and went back. I'd rather have the rain than the wind, I think. It's just ridiculous. Can't control it at all. Apart from that, not really. I'm going on it this weekend. What else we done? We had Glenn's old shed. I've cut the bank, so it's pushed in out the way now. Basically it. We haven't been on it. The weather's not been that good, has it?
No.
It's a bit in winter. It's a bit muddy down your way, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I drive across the field. He lets me go across the field now. Where they've took the turf up, I'll go across the field because I've got 4x4.
Does he? You get to go across the field?
Yeah. So I just go to the end and then just walk back.
Oh, would you literally park at the end where the corner is?
Yeah, at the end. Or I could go over the fence or just go up the end.
What's the field like? Is it quite muddy?
Yeah.
Because in winter that holds water, that field.
No, it's wet, man. But we get across there, no problem.
I bet your truck gets well.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Give it a steam clean now and again. It's only mud, won't hurt it.
Yeah, I suppose that's not so bad. It's not very far, is it, that corner to your boat?
No, it's a lot less walking the other way round.
What about your leaks? Have you checked your engine bay lately?
Oh, yeah, I had water in that again. But I'm sure it's something to do with that lid. I think the leaves off the tree, they must go in the gap and block that drainer. So when I was there, when we took it out, I pumped it. There was water in it. I pumped it out. But I haven't had a look. I need that lid welding down because the hinge is broke anyway. So when it goes into blacking, they're going to weld. I'll put a new hinge on it or weld the hinge back on.
Yeah, probably just weld it on, won't they?
Well, if they can. If not, just put 2 new hinges. It just wants sorting out. It's still all right. You can still lift it and shut it. It's just 1 hinge is broke.
Yeah.
So
how far did you get in the wind then?
Yeah.
How far did you get in the wind?
I went turn around in the second lock.
Oh, you just went 2 locks down?
Well, yeah, 2 wheels miles we can turn around down there. But it was windy, man. The front was in the tree. Couldn't control it. Could not control it. We in the end.
How long is your boat, Jeff?
57 foot.
57.
Yeah. There's plenty of room. It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake to turn there. It's just the wind. So in the end, we had to put a rope around the back of the boat and hook it to the armco and let the wind blow it round, and unhooked it and pulled it back, and it went round no problem then.
Yeah.
But the wind was so hot, it's just ridiculous, the wind. It seems certain places you get it and then it's calm.
Yeah. I think it's when it's open, isn't it? And if there's covered with trees and stuff like that, you think, well, where's that wind gone? But
it's just ridiculous. So we just turn around and come back.
That section's got some real exposed bits to it. It's weak on both sides.
That's about it, mate, I'm afraid. Tell me about your story. I want to hear about your breakdowns.
No, I'm going to go to Glenn first.
He's building himself up.
Yeah, I'm going to sign myself up. Ours is a bit of a saga, so we'll. I think Saul's just joined us.
There he is.
Hey!
Hey, you're up.
Oh, stupid computers.
Welcome, Saul.
How are we doing?
Got for 10 minutes, did you?
Oh, stupid computers and passwords. Oh.
Yeah, nightmare.
Happy New Year, anyway.
You're here, mate, and you got beer. That's what matters.
So Jeff's just been chatting about what he's been up to over the last month, which ain't a lot, and we've just moved on to Glenn.
Yeah.
I haven't started yet. I'm just going to start. So basically, obviously, we went through Christmas. We all know, obviously, Nutshell went at the end of December or during December, and I got some withdrawal symptoms over Christmas. So literally, I think it was a week without looking, and then I've been looking at various different smaller narrowboats because we're going to go for a small, something under 38 foot or smaller for a holiday stroke, like weekendy sort of day boat, to moor up in Milton Keynes. There's loads coming on the market at the moment. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there is an absolute glut of boats that seem to be advertised at the moment. We went to see 3 on last Thursday. One was up near Tamworth. That was a 30-foot Liverpool boat. It hadn't been looked like it hadn't been used for a while. The plate on it, well, I think it was 2018. So, but we really liked it. And yeah, we did really like it and had a good look at it. Couldn't hear it running or anything because the batteries were flat. So we then went on to Braunston and looked at a sea otter.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So does everyone know what a sea otter is?
I do know.
Yes. Aluminium.
Aluminium. Award-winning boats they are. And obviously they don't suffer from rot at all.
No.
But there's no but really about it. To be honest with you, we looked at it. It was 30-foot one. It was a little bit more money than I really wanted to spend. And when you got into it, funnily enough, the head height at the back end was pretty good. The head height up the front, where the doors were, Jeff would have been hitting his head on the roof. It was if I just went up on my tiptoes, I was hitting my head on the roof. So I don't know why it sort of like went down into a lower. It was a very good. When I got on it, it rocked a lot. It was very light.
Very light. Yeah.
It was in very good nick. It had been literally, I think it just been painted, and it was very basic inside. It'd obviously done a few hours because there was a lot of maps and stuff inside it. So someone's done a serious bit of network on it, and it had a stove in it. But it was a really cold day that we went and had a look at it, and it was the roof of it was dripping all over the place. It was not from leaking, from just condensation. I could see the insulation wasn't as, because I presume it's aluminium, a lot thinner, was not as good as steel. Because I could see where every single roof bar was going across. And it wouldn't be the end of the world because we're not living on it. So, at the end of the day, a little bit of condensation wouldn't have been too bad. But so we had a look at it, but I think it looked a bit too basic, and the rocking probably would do me in because I get motion sickness. So, but it was worth going to have a look. And that was at Braunston Way. And then we went to Croppedy, which is over on the Oxford Canal, and looked at another 92 Liverpool boat, almost identical shape and finish as the first one, but completely different inside. But this one was ready to go. So it was all both of them had, is it beta engines?
Yeah.
Both had beta engines in them. The last one we saw had a brand new gear. You could have ate your dinner off the engine. It was absolutely mint. It just had a new gearbox. It's been repainted. It was good, but again, it was at the top end of the scale for money wise. I get a little bit more than I wanted to pay. So we have put a couple of offers in various boats to see what happens, and we haven't had much. We had one feedback was one of them was rejected, but So we'll just see. We'll see. You know, we're on it. We're on it. My first things I do is I check that the windows are not leaking. The first thing I do is run my hand across the top of the sofas and run around the gunnels to see if there's much sort of leakage under there. But yeah, I think it won't. I'm gonna sort of not rush into it. I want to get it for the right price. I want to make sure that it's what we want. Yeah, so as I say, there seems to be a lot coming on the market though. So that's all I've been up to. So it's watch this space. We've pretty much found somewhere to moor it. Pretty much. We're not 100% sure yet, but which would be good. And yeah, I think we'll be back. We'll be back afloat, not permanently, but you know, in a few months, maybe in time for crit. Who knows? But that's all we've done, really. I mean, it's been, you know, we've seen those three, and we're looking to have another look as soon as we can. You know, we'll just look. Something will come up. But apart from that, I've not done anything engine-wise, obviously, because I've got no engine to fix. At the moment.
Just going back to Sea Otters, I did a tour of their factory, which were in Chesterfield just before the show, and they're really well made. I mean, I know they're expensive, but they are really well made and put together.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that compared to steel boats that they are a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, they're award-winning, aren't they? They said on the plate that they won an awards for it. And to be honest with you, if I probably would have bitten the bullet, even though it was a little bit rocky, if I could have. But being where it was and looking at the price of it, I don't think the price was going to move that much.
Yeah.
For it. And the thing is, it just didn't look that old, even though it probably was. It didn't look very old at all. I think it had a fresh lick of paint, and it had a stove in it. Did it have a stove in it? Yeah, it had a stove in it. Yeah, it did have a stove in it. So yeah, it was all ready there to go. It was just very, very basic. It felt like a bit like a motorhome inside. It was a bit weird.
They are set up like that. That's one thing I noticed, that they are set up like a motorhome. And when I looked, everything had a place. They look really, you go in a motorhome and there's things, little nooks and crannies everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. There was a lot of cupboards, but it had a fixed bed in it. It was actually a fixed. As you walk through the door, it was considering it was only 30 foot long. It was a fixed bed straight away, which left a tiny little kitchen, which was just literally like an L shape at the back of the bed, and then you had your seating area and your stove. That was it. And the bathroom was again. It reminded me a little bit. It reminded me a little bit of a motorhome, but also a GRP bathroom. Sort of all very plastically white and clean, with a shower. It was like a wet room. It was just like a wet room, but yeah, well made, but just a little bit too much, bit more money than I wanted to spend. Yeah. To be honest with you.
Right then, Saul, you're late to the party.
Yeah. Yeah, we spent Christmas up at Chewitfield, right at the top. And then as we sailed back, a tree fell down at Boltonley Sands, which is just after Carnforth. We were heading towards Glasson Dock. But what happened was this tree had fell over. Anyway, it got shifted the day before New Year's Eve. So we managed to sail down to Golgate in that horrible weather. It was blowing a gale and raining really hard. And then on New Year's Eve, we sailed down into Glasson Dock, and we've been here now, nearly 2 weeks now. We're moving next Sunday. We're moving on Sunday back up onto the Lanky. So it was a bit hit and miss, but we managed it. We didn't have any engine problems or anything like that. Touch wood, he said.
Yeah.
But hopefully that'll continue. But yeah, it was a nice cruise, actually. It wasn't bad. A bit windy, but yeah, not too bad. But I have noticed back end sits quite heavy in water, and we seem to get blown about a bit. And she's a bit of a pig to handle, so I think I need to do something with ballast. So, but I'll ask you about that later on.
Yeah, funny you should say that, because one of the boats we looked at the other day, there was no water in it. They'd emptied it it had been drained completely out, and I could actually, the anodes were showing in the water. You could actually see the anodes, being a shorter boat, the just not having water in it. It was about a foot higher than it should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got that much plating on. It looks like we've dropped about 1 inch, 2 inch in the water. So
right,
we need to just do something with ballast. But there we go. It'll have to be something that gets sorted out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's about it, really. That's all I've done. I've done nothing else. Just I've gone up a dress size, but I'm, on a diet now.
So we'll move on to me.
Yeah.
Are you sitting comfortably? Because we have had a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. We eventually moved through Chester. We'd been stuck like you, Saul, with a fallen tree that they moved just the week before Christmas. But we didn't want to move over Christmas, so we sort of like started moving in New Year, between Christmas and the New Year. So we moved through Chester on New Year's Eve, and moored up outside Waitrose to do some shopping, last minute shopping. Came back out and engine wouldn't start.
Oh no.
So I flattened starter battery trying to get it going, and although it goes against grain, I had to phone RCR to come out because I couldn't fix it. There were 3 or 4 inch of diesel in tank, which, because we'd been cut off, we haven't been able. The fuel boat hadn't been able to get down to us, so I knew diesel were getting low, but it weren't that low. So New Year's Day morning, RCR come out, and he just changed filters. He says, "I think you've just dragged some crap out at time where it's getting low." But he diagnosed that the starter battery were knackered. And I says, "Well, I think it's just low because I've been cranking it, trying to get it going." So he put a new battery on, and that one knackered as well. So he says, "Jump start it, front leisure batteries, and just let it charge up, let it run." He says, "It's a new battery." He says, if I take it off, I'm gonna scrap it, so you can have it for now." So fair enough. So we jump started it, got it going, spent New Year's Eve in middle of Chester, which we didn't want to do, but saying that, it was quite quiet. It was quite pleasant, and it weren't too bad. So New Year's Day, we set off to go get out other side. Third lock, Lou shouts, "Mate, I've lost forward and reverse. Engine's still running, but can't get a gear." So checked it, engine bay, lever were moving, but it weren't moving selector on gearbox. So had to phone RCR again. 2 days. I took end cable off it, and it had snapped about 6 inch from gearbox. So there were no I could do. I couldn't get one myself New Year's Day. So RCR come out again, different engineer, put a new cable on, couldn't start the engine. So this new battery that the first guy put on weren't weren't holding charge. So he says, I've got another battery. I says, I'm not convinced it's battery. Anyway, he swapped the new battery for another new battery, and it started. So he says, it must have been battery. Okay, fair enough. So we totals off. I goes back to work. Lou phoned me up. 2 days later, engine won't start. Nothing. So I shot home, tried to jump start it from leisure batteries again to get her going. Nothing. So 10:30 at night, phone to RCR again. So they came out the next day, and it was starter motor that had failed, and it was just dragging the batteries down. So they were just a massive draw on battery. So it was dropping it down to like 7 volts. It just went right. So he came back the same day and fitted a new starter motor, which has worked. But as he was checking electrics, he found out that the starter alternator, because my engine's got 2 alternators on it, the starter alternator were knackered, so it weren't charging the starter battery anyway. So I've got to get a new alternator for starter battery. So other than that, we've had a great new year.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, bloody hell.
It's cost us a bloody fortune.
Bit by bit.
Yeah, I'm like, engine's less than 6 years old. So I'm a bit surprised that starter motor had gone. Not so much with alternator, because you know they're spinning it. I mean, there's nearly 4,000 hours on engine, probably more. So alternators spinning all the time anyway, engine's going. Your starters, I'm surprised that starter motor's gone, but there you go. So yes, we've
you don't
we've had
think
a fair bit.
your alternator and your starter motor was connected, as in like the starter motor was faulty, which was dragging down the batteries, and the alternator was working really hard to try and then charge the batteries. You know what I mean? Like a loop that's caused it all to fail.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I'd check the outputs, and I thought, so I don't know, maybe the starter motor going has affected the alternator somehow. I don't see how that could have happened, but
just too much draw, and then too much draw. Well, that's what you mean. Too much draw, and maybe overheated it or burnt it out a bit, or you know what I mean.
But the draw's only on the starter motor when you're cranking into it. It's not like.
But if your battery's going down to 7 volts, and then your alternator's having to work really hard.
No, he did a volt drop on it when he were cranking it. So it were 12.9. The new battery were 12.9 volts. He left his tester on. When he cranked it, that dropped the voltage down to 7 volts when he were cranking.
Right. So when it stopped, it then shot back up.
So when it stopped, it went back up to 12.7 volts, which was showing it was charged.
Yeah.
So I think the fault on the starter motor maybe were masking other things. I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know. Electrics is a bit of a dark art for me. If I can follow a wiring diagram and that, but I'm not brilliant at diagnosing stuff. I can check whether an alternator's kicking feed at and stuff like that, and whether things are connected and whether wires have got a break in them. But actually diagnosing them, I'm not great at that. So
what did you say you've done, Dave? You've connected up to the one alternator, haven't you now?
yeah, I've because my plan was to take the alternator off, the starter alternator off, and get it repaired. But when I came to look at it, the belt that drives the starter alternator also drives the water pump. So if I'd have took that off, Louise can't run the engine to charge the batteries. So I've had to leave it on, and now I'm going to have to buy a new replacement alternator so I can do the swap in a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, what I've done is I've connected the battery, the starter battery, to the leisure batteries, so that I've got a bank of 6 batteries, and they're all charging off the leisure alternator, and we're just making sure that we don't go down too far on start a volt, so we can start it in the morning. So we've got round it till I get an alternator.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying on the BMC engine group, he had 2 alternators, and he seemed to go through his starter alternator kept buggering up, and he reckoned it was something to do with his second alternator was causing problems with first one. Whether that were true or not, I've not seen it the post since, but yeah, he said it was something to do with his second alternator was causing trouble with his first one.
Shouldn't really be connected, really, should they?
Mine's completely separate.
Yeah, ours only was connected to the starter battery. And what I used to do on our boat is every time we stopped after running the engine, we had an isolator on the starter battery.
Yeah, we have.
And I'd take that isolator out, so to make sure there was no possibility of any drain so at least I could start it. There was no drain on the starter battery. And it was like just like a thing you did: turn the key off, take the thing out for the cutout for the batteries, and then the next morning you just remember to put it all back in, and it just keeps it. It just makes sure you've always got a fully charged starter battery, just in case it gets some sort of draw on it.
Yeah, because I know our car broke down. And we'd been getting water in our alternator. And I remember yours is a cruiser stern, isn't it, as well?
Yes.
So is there a slight drip on that alternator that you don't know about?
I don't know. I don't think so. The engine is fairly dry. We do get watery engine bay, but I think that's from the self-draining deck that I've been playing about with, and that leaks when it rains, but it doesn't actually drip on engine. So I don't think. We've had a couple of floods in engine bay through one reason or another, but I don't think it's got that high to get anywhere near alternators. Plus the starter alternator's right at the top of the engine, so. It's I don't know. I think it's just wear and tear, but I think it's like we're Vanet and everything else at the moment. Everything's coming a glut. We've had a good run. Things not going wrong, and then everything's going wrong at once or over a period of months. But we'll sort it, I think.
It's nothing that money can't put right.
Nothing that money can't put right. You know what they say? Buy a boat, bring out another 1,000. But well, enough of my woes. We'll try and have a look at some questions that's been coming through. I know What's that? Is that? All right. I'm just pressing random buttons here. Hold on, I clicked wrong one. Paul Court Show. Oh, what's going off here?
He's got two partial batteries, yeah.
Yeah, partial batteries. Right. Is that coming up? We're currently running at 2 partial batteries from 4 leisure ones, waiting for young lithiums to arrive with solar panels now. That'll not be cheap, Paul. Lithium batteries.
They can run really low though, can't they, lithium?
Yeah, they do. They do run really low. I think they suffer from cold a lot though, don't they? I've been told you've got to be careful with cold on them.
Yeah. Yeah, if we keep lithium batteries in van, when for all tools and what have you, if it gets cold, they just stop working. You have to warm them up and stick them in your pockets before you put them in.
So, the question for Paul then: do you know you're going to run the lithium batteries off the solars? Do you have to have a different controller to charge lithium batteries?
Yeah. They have a setting, don't they? I think you just have to change the setting on the as long as the controller's got the setting, you can change the settings. I remember when I'd set mine up, it said, are you using lead acid, sealed, gel or lift? Yeah, there was options.
Right, okay.
If you buy some of the cheaper ones don't have the options, I don't think, and some of the really expensive ones, I think they can determine themselves what you're trying to charge.
Right.
But I think some of the sort of mid-range main ones, you just tell them what you're using. So, oh yeah, there you go. There's Trev said there they've got to be kept above. Lithium's got to be kept above something 5 degrees, I think it says.
Right.
Second message down.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Above 5C when charging.
Right. Yeah, it's just something that I'd heard about. You've got to be careful with extreme cold. So if you've got them in an engine bay, how would you keep them above 5 degrees C then?
It's called a battery.
Me personally, I'd insulate them.
Put them in a box or put them in heated blanket.
Yeah,
Kingspan or something like that. Anything like that, I'll do.
Right, because you won't want to sort of like spend all that money on lithium batteries and then knacking them up with cold, would you?
What's this reading? They won't. They're not going to be in an engine bay anyway.
Right. So they're not. So you're going to have them import then, Paul?
Yeah, it looks like that. When he's running it for a Victron setup, and they'll be looking at changing the settings once they're fitted.
Right. So that's quite not an expensive. It's quite a complicated setup, that, isn't it? Them Victrons, they're all the built-in charger inverter things, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you can get all sorts of ones that are actually combined, or you can get separates. But a lot of them are quite big, aren't they? Everyone I've ever seen is quite a big unit, and it's got everything in it. You can have charger. What's the other thing? Your battery. Your 240 volt inverter, and the solar panel controller. I think you can get one that does all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, it's just put on. I have been on their boat, and their setups actually under the steps. As you step down into the boat, it's actually under the steps on inside. Remember now, yeah, it is quite a big unit, but it's a clever place to hide it. Actually,
yeah, it's a bit of a wasted space sometimes, that, isn't it?
yeah.
So
last time I were in their boat, I fell down steps.
did you
Straight in boat.
trip over the batteries?
No, I didn't damage batteries. It's not my fault.
Yeah, that's not why they're having to replace.
Yeah. So, like Trev says, you cannot keep. I mean, engine bay. They must be inside the boat, as far as I know.
Yeah,
I don't know how you'd do that. Where if you've got a cruiser stern, how would you do that?
I don't know. I see a lot of them. I've seen them where they have big setups in the like if the bed's at the back, under the bed and stuff like that. They just have to move them all.
Yeah, you got to have some thick wires to connect them to engine, though, aren't you? If you've got a decent way.
I see Paul said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, so some of my aura might have rubbed off on that when I visited them.
Some of your breakdown bad luck.
Yes. Cheers for mentioning that, Paul. I'm much appreciated that.
Yeah.
It's well, how long we've been going? 37 minutes. So do you want to call it a day? Do you want to call it early this week? Because it's
well, there's one question just come up, and it was just basically how long is a starter motor warranty? That's usually about 12 months, isn't it?
12 months.
Usually 12 months, yeah. I were looking at the RCR because RCR have fitted it. I were looking at their rules and regulations of the day, and they don't warranty anything they fit. They go by the manufacturer's warranty.
Right.
So they'll warranty their workmanship, but whatever part they put on is down to manufacturer. So I'd have to have a look at what make it is they've put on. I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. I just see Wayne. He says, talking about lithium batteries, I've heard they are trialing driverless electric cars in Milton Keynes. Have I seen any? And any thoughts? No, I haven't seen any, and I'll avoid them like the plague if I don't.
Before, didn't they? About a year ago, one crashed.
Did they?
Oh, bloody hell.
But I'll see it on the news. They're trying them again.
Are they in what, Milton Keynes?
Yeah.
Oh God, I have to look out for them then.
It'll be fun when it going round the roundabouts with nobody in the drive. You think, Jesus, not for me. I don't think.
Better, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I've got to talk about my ballast.
Oh yes, you have. Yes, sorry, Saul.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. I've got patio flags in, 16-inch patio flags basically. My boat is sat deep in the water. It's quite deep in the water, but it's tipping to one side because everything's on one side pretty much in this boat. So I need to know, can I just yank out a couple of flags and it'll float back up, or is there a special system or what?
I did. I shifted ours about in nutshell.
Yeah.
When I took the lot of the stuff out on that side, when I took the bathroom out, which was a lot of build on that side, and we put the lighter bed in and everything. When I was under the floor, there was places where all I did was shifted the slab. I left some on the side it was listing, but then I pulled over some into the middle. Just shifted them out. I mean, presume if you're that heavy on the bottom anyway, mate, you could take some out.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about putting engineer brick in.
Yeah, or all the ones that come in. What are they called?
Them driveway ones, is it? Them.
What did we take out of the house?
Engineering bricks are better because they don't soak as much. They're impervious. They're not porous. Whereas paving slabs are porous, so they will absorb some moisture. I learned this after I built our boat and were told to use ready mixed concrete in bottom of it, which I did, which is great if your boat is even down either side, but our boat leans over to the left, and getting ready mixed concrete at bottom of the boat is a pain in the arse. But
jackhammer,
jackhammer, yeah. But if you just want to reballast it, like Glenn says, just move them over. But if you're thinking about redoing it and taking it all out, I would go with engineered bricks because you can finally balance it because they're smaller. Yeah, you know what I mean.
All the storage eater bricks because they're cheap. People just want to get rid of storage eaters. I took loads out of storage eaters we took out of this house, and one storage eater had I think it had 16 or 18 blocks in it, and it was one that I couldn't even pick up. I couldn't pick that heater up at all. One person couldn't. I had to pick it apart where it was, and I gave them all to Liam and Mel because they were listing over a bit to put in their boat, and they're small enough. I don't know if they're porous though. I don't know if they're quite
got
solid.
A lot of iron in them. That's why they're so heavy. Got a lot of iron in them, so it could encourage a bit of rust. That.
Yeah.
Do they what in storage eater blocks?
Yeah, that's why they're so heavy. They've got like iron in them usually.
Oh really?
I've had to carry quite a lot of them down lots of flights of stairs.
Yeah. They're bloody heavy, aren't they?
Damn right.
Yeah. Or maybe not then, unless you put something under them. But they're cheap.
I mean, ours isn't very damp. Under the floor's not got much damp at all. It doesn't get much condensation, so
you're really lucky. The condensation was always an issue in the winter underneath our boat, but we only had polystyrene. Have you got polystyrene?
Kingspan in ours. The closed cell stuff. Yeah,
that's better. Yeah. Ours really should have been spray foam, but it had polystyrene. It was awful for condensation. So, I'm just reading. Someone's gone down the toilet. Who's gone down the toilet route?
Yeah, and you need a big toilet, won't you?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. See, yours has been overplated, hasn't it, Saul, as well, which will have affected ballast. Does like Glenn was saying earlier, does it bring back up when you fill water tank up?
It drops it down pretty level, but it doesn't last very long because we've got a big water tank actually for the size of the boat, but it doesn't last long. It's only like a day or two, and then it starts to rise up again. But I've noticed when she's full, she's a lot better to handle.
Yeah.
So I think she's sitting a bit heavy in the back. I measured it out. I think we're about 700 mil into the water. I measured it out, and we're quite deep, really.
Even on the transom, how far is the transom? The back you stand on, because ours was just on our boat. It was just under the water by about an inch.
We're a good inch, maybe about an inch and a half under the water.
That's about right, I think.
Well, before that, it sat quite high. I don't know if the R&D boats, because ours is an R&D boat. I don't know if it sits quite high. Because when we went to look at it, it was before it was overplated, and there's a little on the rudder. The top bit of the rudder was just poking out the water.
Yeah.
So I think if it's only 50 mil, like it's gone in. So it'd be 650 down, which isn't too bad.
Because that back bit you really want underwater, because obviously that's the bit that can rot out if it starts coming up out of the water. So you want to be heavier at the back anyway. Really, that's what the traditional narrowboat is. They always say, don't they? It should be sitting higher at the front and slope back into the rear. But I know it used to make a big difference with our old boat when we put water in the front. Front used to come down loads and it used to handle a lot better.
Yeah.
So, but
have you thought about getting some of them 56-pound metal weights from sort of like scrapyard or something like that, and putting them in one corner at front at boats brought down, swell to the balance?
Well, I'm quite close to where Weldeck outlets at Weldeck. They're quite close to water. So when we fill her up, they're only about an inch off not even an inch off the water. So I don't really want to put too much weight on front and have a.
Yeah, when you fill up, you'll be right low.
Yeah.
But I suppose with the big weights, you can always move them about. If you just bought market weights,
yeah,
you could just then shift them down the boat. But a bit of a faff.
Well, let's say if I take ballast out at the back and raise her up just a slight bit, if she comes up an inch, then I think I'll solve that issue, and then I could probably put some weight in front there. And we've got the anchor at the front, so
yeah. I see Trev just says there, he said his boat's overplated as well, and it runs much better with a full tank of water. It makes the prop alignment better.
Yeah, of course. And Lanky's that shallow now. I'm digging my way through canal, mate.
Yeah, I bet you are. Yeah. I just see Alan. I think Alan asked that before. Yeah, you put lithiums inside your boat as well, Alan. Yeah, that's the best place for them for the temperature.
See, I wouldn't want to lift back at boat too much.
No.
Because you don't want your transom out of water, because then you reduce the efficiency of your prop.
Yeah.
You just end up churning a lot of froth up and don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and air gets under there obviously and starts the corrosion process. Yeah. So
I'll have to find somewhere there. I'll have to read up on it a bit. Sorry, Jeff. What?
How's your engine nowadays?
No, I need some new glow plugs.
All right.
And she's weeing oil everywhere. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's not coming out at air filter now, but I think I might have a leak on sump somewhere. So
I'll be all right. I'll lubricate everything. Just keep topping.
Yeah, I'll just keep scooping it up and tip it back in there.
You'll be all right. Stockings.
Are you still doing that route to reconditioned engine, Saul?
I reckon we are. Yeah, we're going to try this summer and get pennies together. I've got a big job on in the spring, so hopefully I'll have enough pennies left over from that job to get a new engine in. Well,
it'd be a good one to rebuild, though. It would be a good, because they're a pretty solid block, and to have it rebuilt, it's pretty good block wise. To have it just out long enough for someone to rebuild it and pop it back in, or do some sort of exchange.
Well, at the moment, it's like I was talking to our engineer, and he just said minimum 11 weeks out of the water for him to do the engine job. He can't get the parts, and everybody's mad busy. It's crazy at the minute.
3 months.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! They're working at Dave's van speed with that.
Yeah.
So what I've decided is if I buy a recon engine, I can put that in and have the other engine rebuilt, and I can sell that on.
Yeah.
Sort of recoup my losses.
Yeah, it might be an idea. Yeah, because they're worth a couple of grand, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I make most of the money back that I've spent on getting a recon engine, then I'll be happy then.
Yeah, and they can lift that in. I mean, there was a boat sitting up at Slapton for a while that had a engine issue, and I think it was RCR came and lifted it out. They came with a truck with a high ab on it, lifted the engine out there, and then came back a week later with another or the rebuilt or fixed engine. And no, it wasn't a week later. They were there for about a month actually. Came back, kept on putting it off because it was right in COVID, and then they came and crane came back in again. I had the engine back in on the canal.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
a long-winded story about that.
Some Turk broke down in Hemel Hempstead in a lay-by. Volvo's delivered all the engine kit, and he rebuilt the engine in the lay-by on his own.
Really?
He was gone one day. It was all packed, all his rubbish put away in a little box, and he drove off.
Really?
Yeah, side piston and liners a lot.
So I don't know what you're moaning about, Saul. You need to just get on with it now.
Get on with it.
Just find a lay-by.
I bet he had sand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So we'll see how it goes. It's got some. I've got loads of little other jobs I need to do, shelving and linoing and all that. All before I start doing that, we're going to change layout at boat as well while we're doing it. So I might do ballast at the same time, if you know what I mean, and see if we can. She likes putting a lot of stuff in the boat though. She likes filling it up with stuff.
Do you know what? When we emptied Nutshell, I couldn't believe how much it came out of the water. The back, we had a mark on the same thing on the rudder, and there was about 2 inches higher on the rudder when we emptied it. It was amazing. I was shocked how fast it came out of the water. It was like skimming across the top.
See, if you change layout at boat, Saul, you're going to have to sort the ballast out after you've changed layout at a boat. It'll be all different again.
Yeah, it sits.
Well, she's got mega plans for storage, and I'm like, oh, do we have to have stuff? Can we not just wang it, and then we don't have as much stuff? But she's determined to have all this stuff, you know.
Yeah, mate. That's good luck with that.
It's a good job she's not here, to be honest.
All the stuff that was in our boat is now under our bed.
Sleeping near the ceiling.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I still couldn't find anything. I was looking for something the other day that came out of the boat. I ended up going buying some more of them today. And I knew I had loads of them in the boat. I can't find them anywhere. Nightmare.
So Narrowboat Girls thing on that, having that engine put in.
I think RCR did that.
Yeah, I think it was RCR did the one at Slapton.
Yeah.
So they've obviously got the facilities and the equipment to be able to lift it in and out for you.
I'm not sailing all the way over there with this engine.
No.
To do the Ribble Link again.
Maybe not. Don't risk it. So
No. There's a guy on YouTube and he recons engines. So I'm forgetting his name now. Robert Jones, I think he's called, or something like that.
Okay.
And he recons engines. So I could probably buy one off him and, get him to rebuild the other one and sell it on. You know,
local
what I mean?
to you, is he? Local up there?
No, I think he's down. Nottingham way. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I would try Primrose Engineering, Saul.
Can you send us that, mate? And
he's a guy who dabbles in old boat engines, and he is very good. He's very good with BMCs and listers. He did the cylinder head on our 2.5 BMC when we had that in boat, and he does boat, he does fit boat engines as well. But he's down Coventry way. But he might be able to, point her in the right direction for a reconditioned engine as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's worth a phone call to him.
Definitely, yeah.
Might have one kicking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a 1.8 or a 1.5?
or the 1.5s.
Oh yeah, maybe upgrade to 1.8, give you a bit more oomph.
It's only about 8 more horsepower.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of horses. Well, that's a lot of horses.
It is.
Say again, Jeff.
So can't you buy an old compressor and take the engine out of that? You know these old compressors. You used to have the old compressors that drive the air jackhammers.
Yeah.
They're not anything like some of them BMCs. Have a look on eBay, so you can get an old compressor with an engine in it. Because a compressor engine is exactly the same. All it does, it revs. It doesn't go through the gears like a car engine. That's all you need.
You got to marinize it though.
Huh? Yeah, but you should be able to swap your bits over if you've got another bloody BMC.
Yeah, it's keel cooled mine as well. So
yeah, just swap bits over.
Yeah, so
just
you got
have a look. You might find one.
Yeah.
I'll give that a go. Yeah.
BMC compressor engine will do it.
Is that a compressor like a tow compressor you're talking
Yeah,
about?
what I tow behind vans with the airlines and everything on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's all you want.
And then you could sell a reconditioned compressor after that and see if you can get your money back on that. or tie it behind the boat.
Think out the box sometimes. Save your money.
Yeah.
just buy an horse.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
Or you could buy a transit van. Oh no, we won't talk about that.
No, don't go down that road, Jeff. Thank you very much. We're not going. This is about boats, not transits.
The backbone of Britain, they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sold it. I sold buying the boat, buying the van, because we'd had a Merc van and that were a nightmare. And I said, we're buying a transit because you can get parts from dead easy. And that's how I sold it to Louise.
Did you? Transit, and that backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, not many.
I don't think they do a good van on the market nowadays, do they?
Nah.
You know what? I've been hearing quite good stories about the Mercedes. I know we're going off track a little bit, but the Mercedes Vito van, I've met a couple of people recently that have got 400,000 miles on the clock of those.
Yeah.
Trouble-free miles.
An alternator on one of them, you've got to take drive shaft out to get the alternator. You can unbolt the alternator, but you can't get it out, so you have to take drive shaft.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah. We had a Merc Vito, and that were a bigger money pit than transits.
I don't think there is such a good thing as a van nowadays.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the newer ones. I mean, the one this person had that had done 450,000 was an 58 plate.
I suppose you get good and bads on everyone, don't you?
Yeah.
Vivaros, I mean, Natasha's just put on Vivaros. They're probably best van I've ever drove. A Vivaro.
I did. I've had two of them. I like them to drive.
Yeah. They're a Renault, aren't they?
Well, it's the Renault, Nissan, and Vauxhall put their name on that, don't they?
Vauxhall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as long as you've got a good set of injectors and stuff in it.
And you don't have to take them out. They're a nightmare to get out some of them.
Oh, that's because the little vent on the bonnet, water drips through onto the injectors below, which rusts them in.
They're a nightmare.
But if
we had one on an engine crane with the van balancing it, pulling the injector overnight, and it still wouldn't come off.
I was told by a company that I bought one off. They have said they've only ever snapped one, and they'd had hundreds of them. And he said they always did it hot. Did them hot.
We tried it. It was a nightmare, man.
Was it? But it's all down to that little vent on the bonnet, drips water onto the injectors on the top.
But as you say, you can get good and bad anything. You can get a good trans van, or you can get a bad one.
Yes, thanks, Jeff. Our transit's been great for 5 years. It's just the last 4 months it's been a pain in the ass.
That's that last bit before it went bang, isn't it?
I think they call it the joys of motoring.
Yeah,
it is. Joys of boating, joys of motoring.
There ain't no such thing as that no more.
I'm just going to say a quick hello to. I think I ain't got my glasses on, but I think it's Gillis Spirit. I think they said been watching our channel for over a year from near Washington State. So hello, thanks for watching, and thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to Engine Room Chat as well. I hope it's been enlightening.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that's tuned in.
Yeah.
Hearing me warble on about breaking down everywhere, and but yes, thank you for everybody to tuning in. Thank you for everybody watching, everybody who's commented, especially for Saul turning up late. Jeff and Glenn as ever, and from myself, David, Narrowboat Changing Pace. Until next month, we'll see you again.
See you later.
Good night, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.